Okay, good morning, everyone. So today, we'll discuss like different definitions of modeling collusion when we design transaction fee mechanism. And we'll try to discuss whether we can design a dream mechanisms that can defend against such collision with notion. This is a joint work with Ting and Elaine. First of all, let me introduce the players. So in this talk, you can view the blockchain as a public computers, and we have two kinds of players. The first one is user. User want to use this computer by sending transactions. And the second kind of player is miners. So on blockchains, we call it public computer because it's maintained by a lot of like distrustful miners all around the world. It's not owned by a single entity. So we have user who wants to use the blockchain and miners who run the blockchain. And what is a transaction fee mechanism? So because the computational power is limited, so a miner cannot just include infinitely amount of transactions into the block. We have to do something to allocate the resource efficiently. And this is what a transaction fee mechanism is. In this talk, you can think of it as auctions. We want to allocate the resource. But here, the items we want to sell are the block space. And we assume all the transactions have the same sizes and the order doesn't matter. So in other words, the items we want to sell are K identical items. And actually, today we'll discuss a lot of impossibilities. So this simplification actually makes the impossibility stronger. Okay, so how does a transaction fee mechanism allocate the resource? The mechanism will decide which user's transactions are confirmed, how much should each user pay, and how much should a miner get. Let's see some examples. So on Bitcoin uses the first price auction. That is, if K is the block size, the miner will just pick the top K bids on the market. Everyone just pay your own bid. All the payment goes to the miner. Is it a good auction? Not necessary, because the first price auction actually encourages users to bid untruthfully. So that means if I'm a user, I have to monitor the network and try to bid the bare minimum to get into the block. And that causes the user a lot of overhead. Can we solve this problem? Yes, we can. Why not just run second price auction? So in the context of blockchain, K is the block size. In this example, let's say K is 5. Then the top K minus 1 bids are confirmed. And everyone just pay the lowest bid in the block. So in this example, the first 4 transactions are confirmed. Each one just pay $3. Okay, sounds good. So could we just run second price auction on blockchain? There we might have a problem because on blockchains, the blockchain is maintained by a lot of distrustful miners. So this is actually a new challenge when we design a mechanism on blockchain, that the miner itself is also a strategic player. So if you just run the second price auction on blockchain, then miner will try to inject a fake bids to inflate the price. In this case, everyone has to pay $2 more and miner gets more. Or the miner can also collude with some user. For example, the miner collude with the user with lowest bid. Can you bid 5 instead of 3? And we can split the profit of table. So according to the discussion above, we can conclude 3 desired properties we want. The first one is called UIC. Then that means a user's dominant strategy is just to bid truthfully, set like a second price. The second property is called MIC, and that means miner's dominant strategies is always to implement the mechanism honestly. The miner should not have incentive to bias the system. And the third property is called C-secondary proofness, and that means even if the miner collude with some users, they should not have incentive to deviate from the protocol. So have a mental exercise. The second price auction satisfies UIC, but as we have seen, it's not MIC and not YSCP. But on the other hand, first price auction actually satisfies MIC and CSCP for NEC, but it encourages untruthful bidding, so it is not UIC. So the goal of a fee mechanism designer is to ask, can we have a dream mechanism that satisfies all three properties? Can we? Unfortunately, the answer is no. So in my previous work, we show that if the block size is finite, there is no non-trivial mechanism can satisfy UIC and YSCP. And here, by non-trivial, I mean the only mechanism that satisfies both properties is you always to reject everyone. But that makes a blockchain useless. And one SCP means a miner good with only one user, they don't want to deviate. That is the weakest coalition we can conceive. So this impossibility says, if you want a UIC mechanism, you cannot even defend against the weakest coalition. And also, you may notice that to have this impossibility, we don't need MIC. So this impossibility actually holds in a really strong sense. We only need two properties to root out, and one SCP means you just want to defend against the weakest coalition. So maybe it suggests that maybe this C side contract proofness notion is too strong. It requires the joint utility of the coalition should not increase by deviation. So let's take a closer look how a strategic coalition increase their joint utility. So there are actually two ways to increase the joint utility. The first one is you try to steal from other buyers. So let's take the second price auction as an example. In this case, if you ask the clothing user to bid more, why your joint utility increase? Because everyone else has to pay $2 more. So in this case, your joint utility actually comes from, the increment comes from other users. And we call it, you steal from other users. And the second type is, you actually steal from the protocol. What do I mean? So let me give you an example. If we run posted price auction, so in posted price auction, there is a posted price, predetermined price R. Everything higher than R is confirmed and just pay R, and miner gets everything. So actually, I can give you a perfect example of posted price auction. I believe you must know this. So you can think of a posted price auction is just take it or leave it. Yeah. Is your true value higher than this? So if no, then if true value is lower than this, you must bid untruthful. And what's the problem if you run posted price auction on blockchain? So here is the issue. Let's say the posted price is $5 and we have a user with true value 3. What can they do? If user bid truthfully, no one is confirmed. So the user can actually collude with the miner and say, if you pay me like $3 cashback, I'm happy to overbid. And in this case, actually, both of them are happy. And notice that no one is harmed. So the issue of this deviation is like, they try to like bypass the constraint of the protocol. And you may notice that this attack actually holds no matter how high the R is. R is 10, R is 100, they can always overbid and try to bypass the posted price. So in this scenario, we code it, you steal the extra profit is that you steal from the protocol. So why the CSCP is strong? Because the CSCP try to defend against, there should be no extra gain either from other user or from the protocol or both. So how about let's just focus on, we don't want the coalition to steal from the protocol. How do we capture it? So ideally, all the users should just like report your true value to the transaction fee mechanism, and the miner implements it honestly. However, if the mechanism has a loophole such that the miner wants to post an off-chain agreement, the off-chain agreement says that, hey, all users, let's sit down. Let's discuss what is the best way to submit the bid. And recall that what is the goal of transaction fee mechanism? We want to allocate the resource efficiently. But if the mechanism has a loophole such that the miner and all users want to do this, then it is actually the off-chain agreement that actually allocates the resource. So that makes the mechanism is born to be useless. So the way we want to capture there's no way to steal from the protocol is that the global coalition, which is the coalition formed by the miner and all users, everyone, that is the strongest coalition, right? So if the global coalition is happy about if everyone just submit a bid truthfully and miner implements the fee mechanism, if they are happy about this outcome, then we are confident to say, okay, there's no way to steal from the protocol. And we code a global SCP. So the global SCP wants to say there is no way to steal from the protocol by saying like, if the joint utility of the global coalition should not be increased by deviating from the protocol. Okay, so can we have a dream mechanism that satisfies UIC, MIC, and global SCP? Unfortunately, no, again. So in this work, we show that if the blockchain is finite, you cannot satisfy all three properties. And here, notice that we actually need MIC to reach the impossibility. Okay, so we still want to have a dream mechanism, right? So maybe this notion is still too strong. And if we take a closer look, is that global SCP requires everyone behaves honestly is a dominant strategy. So what do we mean by everyone behave honestly? That is, each user should bid truthfully. But how about let's relax this requirement a little bit? So again, ideally, everyone should just bid truthfully, and miner implements the mechanism also truthfully, honestly. But we have seen we cannot do that. So how about we allow each user to have a simple bidding strategy? This bidding strategy may not be truthful, but let's allow it. So this is trying to capture the case, like, for example, if you run the first price auction in the Bayesian setting, that you only have the prior about others' values, but you don't know the exact bid. In this case, the best strategy for individual users is to bid like some fraction of your true value. And here, what is really important is that we require this truth, the non-truthful bidding strategy should be easy, simple to use. And by simple, I mean, it should be independent of other bids. We don't want like, it turns out equilibrium is that all users have to enter the off-chain agreement. Maybe what we want is like, maybe in the case like first price auction, you just want to adjust your bid, maybe by a constant fraction of your true value. It's independent of others. If the global coalition is happy about the outcome, if everyone bids according to this simple bidding strategy sigma, okay, then we're fine with it. And we call this notion OCA proofness. So OCA proofness says, if there is a simple bidding strategy, by simple I mean it should be independent of others bidding, the global coalition should be happy about the outcome if everyone bids according to sigma. So again, can we have a dream mechanism that satisfies UIC, MIC, and OCA proofness? And I'm so sad that if the block size is finite, we need an impossibility again. And this impossibility actually answers Tim's questions from like EC 3 years ago, that whether we can design a mechanism that satisfies UIC, MIC, and OC encryptors. So it sounds really pessimistic. So I want to conclude my talk with 2 future directions. The first one is, so I would say because minor is the fact that minor is also a strategic players actually is a new challenge for all the mechanism designers for blockchains. And how do we capture the incentive compatibility that take the minor deviation into account, including that minor alone or minor user collision is a new and exciting research area. Maybe we can consider other incentive compatibility notions. Or maybe we can consider other models. So for example, maybe we can use some cryptography. So I have some previous work where we show that if we require several miners to jointly run a multi-party computation protocol, then we can actually have some meaningful mechanism there. Or like in the blockchain community, people discuss that maybe we should encrypt the mempool. So far, all these impossibilities are in the plain model in the sense that each user submits a bit in clear, and the miner can unilaterally decide which transactions are into the block. So maybe if we hide the bits, we encrypt the mempool, maybe it can also help us bypass the impossibility. Or like in the blockchain community, people are also discuss, maybe we would require miner to run the protocol on some trusted hardware, also known as TEE. So I believe that this is a really interesting and exciting area, and you can find the full paper online. And here's my talk. Thank you so much.